The bank was formed in 1918. We've been around a long time. As an organization, we're obviously a community bank, and no matter how big we get, I know our CEO is extremely community focused. We've been built on a 4-pillar pledge that we pledge to not only our employees but our customers, and that we will treat others ethically, we will be adaptable. The center of our focus is our customers, and we invest our time and our resources in our communities, and we do that. We are out in the community as opposed to what some larger banks might do. We make our presence known in all of our communities. We've grown quite a bit in the last 100 years. We probably, by the time you guys see this, will be at $1 billion in assets. It's a great organization to work for too. You're not a number. I mean, sometimes you hear things talked about, we're a family. We are a business, and we do conduct ourselves as a business, but we're pretty much a family in a lot of respects in the way we interact with each other. It's unique.
When I first started 25 years ago, we had 4 locations. We now have 17, 18, I'm not even sure the number, and we're actually putting one in tomorrow, actually. But we've expanded literally all over the state, and as well, and even leaked into Colorado as well. So it's been a challenging and interesting time to watch it grow like it has.
Every branch had a separate PBX where phone systems weren't integrated. A call to any branch was a long distance call. It was difficult to even function properly. We didn't have extension dialing. If I had to call a branch to talk to somebody, I had to call their main number and then ask to talk to somebody, and they would, if the phone system had the ability to transfer the call, which some of them did not. You had to wait for somebody to either walk over or they would put it to their extension. Some of those systems, and boy, how old were they?
Extremely old. They were older than, a lot of them were old when I started 25 years ago, so if that tells you anything. Most of the locations, half, maybe more, didn't have voicemail. It was just a real disconnected, it was a very disconnected system. So it had a lot of challenges in that respect.
Oh, and if you could have seen the wiring, you typically don't think of it like that until you look at it, but years and years of changes were all on the walls. It's not like they came in and go, hey, we're going to change this out, we're going to put in this new system. They left whatever was there in place, wired around it. Lamar,
just stacked nightmare.
Lamar was a good example. You'd walk in there and it would be like you couldn't even trace a wire. The walls were just terrible in their wiring closet. It was bad. It gave us integration that we didn't have. It gave us single points of setting up distribution groups where you could actually have multiple banks support each other. When a phone call came in, the long distance charges, for instance, no longer there. The technology itself, a really good example, during COVID, we had to send people home, and it was like, okay, we're sending people home now, not tomorrow, now. We were able to take an individual, send them to their house, and in less than 10 minutes, have them not just working with their PC, but through the VoIP system. It was seamless. It worked very well, and it was simple to configure and set up. And working with you guys in tandem, you'd have somebody go home, and in less than 10 minutes, they were fully operational, and that was worth a lot at the time.
Yeah, I don't know how we got through COVID without that. I think that'd been a nightmare.
support was one of the main differences in that you guys knew the system inside and out. And you would let us, we're a very hands-on group of people. Some people aren't. They want to enter a ticket with you for everything they do. And there are things that we want to know how to do in the system. And you gave us the ability to, whatever you want to learn, we'll teach you how to do this. If you want to do this, we'll let you do this. If you want us to do it, we'll do it. And they weren't like that. You know, hey, we know you have a 650-mile footprint. We'll work with SLAs to send a technician out there. We'll call them up, we'll find somebody local in the area, and we'll send them out. Whereas your system, it was, we will send you a technician from our office and they will be there and they will take care of it. Every system that I think the bank has ever purchased, there's been a point, no matter what that system was, where we've sat there and gone, I wonder if we should have made a different decision. We've never made that decision with this system. It's the one product we can look back on consistently and never have a regret about.
Well, and easily the references was so impressive. Every individual we spoke with that was a current customer, they had nothing but good things to say. And we started going down that list, like, all right, we'll get to some naysayers here at some point. It did not happen. And the more you talk to them, and one of them said, yeah, I went through literally every one, and I never got to a naysayer. So that the references speak for themselves, I would say. The evaluation process, and I don't remember what you guys call it, but when you basically come in and kind of do an audit of our telecom bills, that was a huge piece, and I would suggest that anybody that's even considering that, consider you guys just for that piece, whether you wanted to purchase the system or not. But that's a huge part of it. The cost savings was kind of mind-blowing.
Tell us more about that.
And not super believable at the forefront, but I don't remember what our ROI was on it, but I think 2.5 years, if I remember right, something like that. But it exceeded expectations. I don't remember the numbers. I think John knows those better off the savings initially. It was just it's really mind blowing. Much like the phone systems themselves were very disconnected. So every local branch took care of their own telecom. It was a nightmare. And then when you start looking at the bills, you could see why. Verge grabbed all that stuff together, pulled it together, and said, okay, here's what. And you found a number of lines that we didn't need, a set of dry pair that we had in a location that had been in existence for a number of years that was supposed to be disconnected that wasn't. So I don't remember the charge on that, but it's $200 or $300 a month.
It was $2,300 a year. Just to look at some of the numbers, we realized we had a problem. And I remember I picked up a phone bill, and it was for our branch in Buckland. And I was looking at something, I don't remember why I got the phone bill, but I looked at their phone bill, and it's like, they're paying 65 or 69 cents a minute.
Yeah, the default rate with AT&T.
Because they didn't have a contract. They hadn't set anything back up. So we took a hard run at our systems, and we found $27,000 a year in savings. Verge took a hard run at our systems and found an additional $9,000 a year savings. And we've just recently converted off all but I think 2 POTS lines, and that added an additional almost $50,000. It's about between $45,000 and $46,000 a year in savings, moving away from the POTS lines and utilizing the full functionality of the VoIP system. And now we're even looking at what's it going to look like. We have a CX server in every location that's running all the calls, handling all the switching. What's it going to look like to move that system completely into the cloud? We're analyzing that now, seeing what benefits that gives us. And it makes DR unbelievably easy. Hey, we got 2 points of egress for internet. This place just went pooey. Okay, everybody go out that way. And takes all the complication out of it.
When we initially purchased the system, I remember there's the advice, suggestion, you would call it, from Art and Glenn that, hey, you really don't need those POTS lines. But we did not feel comfortable, coming from the environment that we were in, of not having a physical line at each location in the event of a 911 call or something like that. We just did not feel comfortable, or a network disruption. And so we didn't commit to that. And they're like, okay, that's fine to do that, but we suggestion. So finally, we're confident enough, and we dove in, and you looking back, like, why didn't we do that sooner? But
it makes us more available. When we were traveling, you had to, hey, we need to talk to John. Okay. Somebody would go look in my office if I'd forgotten to send an email out. Hey, he's not here. He must be on the road. Do you know his cell number? No, hang on, I have to go look it up. They'd look up our cell number, they'd call us, hey, we have a problem. Now I can go to the system, I can auto forward calls to my house if I'm working from home, my cell phone if I'm mobile, if I'm in our network room, I just have it ring the extension in the network room. We didn't have any of those capabilities. It's made us a better support group for the overall bank in the ability to always stay connected. We upgraded all our switches at the time. We needed PoE switches, but you guys took those switches, configured them on site, imported our old configs, brought them into the branches, installed them, set the whole network up as just part of your default install fee. And then the level of service we got was, I'm sorry, it was ridiculously great. I mean, I had somebody at our Holton location, Mark, and he was looking at the back wall where we had a rack that had been put in there, probably before we bought the bank. That the wiring was just, 15-foot wires that went from one punch panel to another that were 2 inches apart, that kind of thing. And he goes, if you don't mind, can I pull that down and rewire it for you? And I'm like, yes. So he went in and completely rewired the rack and did that as part of the installation of the switch for the VoIP phones. Every single closet we had all wires, all equipment. If it wasn't live, it was gone. They just removed it when they put their stuff in. And I look back on that kind of thing, and it was no, I wouldn't do anything different. Because everything was done right the first time. There's nothing to look back on as a regret, except the POTS lines. Anybody we've ever worked with has been incredibly responsive. They've been knowledgeable, which that sometimes is rare. You have to get kicked up to a tier 2 technician or tier 3. There are certain companies I would call, I would just say, look, I don't want to talk to you. Kick me up to tier 2 now. I've already done everything you're going to talk to me about. And if there's something they're not sure about, they get up, they walk over to somebody and find the person who knows, and they're right there. But I haven't even had that situation very often. Most of your people, all of your people, are extremely knowledgeable on any level we've dealt with them on. Responsive, top notch. I mean, I don't know any other way to describe it. I've never worked with anybody that didn't know what they were doing at Verge, ever.
We've had a number of situations where we have several small branches of maybe 1 or 2 employees, and they maybe have to be out for an hour or a day or whatever. For whatever reason, we have to close that location, kind of unplanned thing. We can contact Verge, and within a matter of minutes, we can have every phone call routed to our support group here at the main location, and it just simplifies life so much for us.
And even down to your install people like Mark. We had an issue at our Pittsburgh office that was doing some weird stuff with dial tone. Mark came in and traced every single wire with AT&T there. And the AT&T guy just followed him around. until he found what the problem was. And he basically told AT&T, you are the problem. This is somewhere outside of this building. Something that you have hooked to this building is causing their entire issue. And it was like phones would disconnect or the fax would quit working suddenly. And
Call
quality drop. And he was there for 3 days. And he said, I'm not leaving until we find it. He found it. And he proved it to the AT&T technician that it wasn't anything in that building. And the guy hadn't, all he could do is go, you're right, we'll work on this. They found some weird setting in a building up the road that they'd messed with, and everybody forgot that they'd set it that way, and it was causing our issue. So even down to the technical level, everybody goes as far as they can go.
But one of the biggest things I've liked is that if there's anything that we need or want to do, we can put in a ticket and Verge will get right back with us same day, hours later, minutes later, and get it done. But if there's something that I want to take care of that it's right here in the system, I'm just doing this real quick, can you show me how? And they will show me how to do it real quick. I can get it done and not have to worry about bothering Verge and not have to worry about throwing out things. And a lot of it is pretty easy to figure out, pretty easy to work through and kind of get around.
We do things like after hours support now and support on Saturdays. We just set up a ring group for some specific people that if the call comes in after this hour, it shifts, and it's all programmed. It shifts from all our branches at 4 o'clock to our operations center. At 5 o'clock, when they leave, it automatically shifts the ring group to our Colorado offices that are an hour behind us. And so we're answering the phone now till 6 o'clock. And it's made putting in these new types of support for our customers to make us more valuable to our customers and serve them better. It's made it very easy. And it's all, the hardware works great. The shifting system works great. I hope someday we can get the call center piece that'll let us, analyze how much time a person can spend on the phone. Or in that ring group, there's 7 people. Why does that person never get a call? Oh, that person's not ever answering the phone because they know there's 6 other people doing it for them. And let us analyze that stuff and make it even better. That's been incredibly simple. All we do is give the MAC addresses. They hardwire them to the phone. It talks through the WAN that's meshed. Phone works.
So easy.
Extremely simple.
There is no effort involved in it at all. Or when we have set up a new location and it's needed a controller, you guys have come up, put it in, dropped it, set up the phones. There's never been any effort involved in adding new locations.
We added a fairly good sized location actually, just down south here. At the same time doing a conversion, a core bank conversion, which in and of itself is a huge deal. We did all of those the same weekend.
And merged in a third bank.
Yeah.
So we relocated a location, merged in a third bank, and did a core conversion all at the same time because we love pain. But
rip the Band-Aid off, right?
all of that is happening at one. Oh, and a fourth merge, we merged in the data from our mortgage division. So all 4 of these things are happening simultaneously.
Same weekend. And we even set up a call center in this room, a temporary call center, but Verge was very much a big part of that and made that part of our lives much easier. Because quite honestly, the only thing I remember about that weekend is the core conversion, the nightmare that it was. The rest of it was super seamless.
And we're still finding things with the system. Like right now, we're doing an MS365 implementation. And we're looking at Teams, and we don't want 2 separate clients. I don't want 2 IM clients. I don't want 2 clients to run my phone. And the Mitel system is technologically in the right place where it's going to come in virtually into our Teams client, and we'll have all the phone functionality inside of Teams, and we won't need that second client. It'll be running down where people can't access it, but it virtually integrates. So it's keeping up with the technology that we're rolling into. I mean, we put the system in 2018, and it's still going to do what we need it to, and then some in 2024. I happen to know a support story that speaks volumes about who you guys are. There was a bank that was calling into the Oklahoma office that was having problems with their fax machine, not digital, machine. And they were like, well, we don't really support fax machines. That's not our equipment. But I'll tell you what, we're going to send you a technician. It's not a technician drive to Tulsa. I think it was Tulsa. And they fixed their fax machine, which wasn't part of your contract, wasn't part of your support, but they're a customer. And it didn't matter that that was a piece of hardware that you guys may not even know how to, it's not something you service. But the technician went up and fixed what was wrong with the fax unit. That speaks volumes on how you take care of a customer, as opposed to, well, you know what, that's not our stuff. We really don't care what happens to you. That tells you who you are as a company.
And easily, in comparison, we look at all, because I don't know how many vendors we have, but a lot. But far and away, Verge blows everybody away. I mean, just our satisfaction level. I mean, it's just we've never been disappointed in something. You guys always do what we or what's been promised. Just extremely happy in that respect. And that's never the case with most vendors.